The upcoming Star Wars films are running out of directors quickly. It's Wednesday, January 23rd, and you'll hear about those stories and more this week in Star Wars. This Week in Star Wars is your source for new and noteworthy developments from the galaxy far, far away. I'm your host, Matt Fox. And now, this week's lead stories. It was learned last week that Mexican director Guillermo Del Toro, famous for such films as Pan's Labyrinth, Blade 2, as well as the original director of the Hobbit films, was approached by Disney to helm Episode 7. In an interview available at E! Del Toro stated that he immediately squashed any discussions with Disney about the project, as he is at this time focused on projects of his own making, and does not wish to get involved in a franchise over which he will not have total control. Del Toro joins Steven Spielberg, Brad Bird, and J.J. Abrams as the four directors who claim to have been offered the helm of Episode 7, while several others, highlighted by Joss Whedon, have prospectively taken their names out of consideration for various reasons. But Del Toro was not the only director making news regarding the future of Star Wars over the past week. Zack Snyder, whose current project is the upcoming Superman reboot, Man of Steel, was rumored last week to be involved in a Star Wars project running parallel to Episodes 7, 8, and 9, based vaguely on Akira Kurosawa's The Seven Samurai. Given that some elements of the original trilogy took inspiration from Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress, this rumor was made all the more believable. However, it was quickly squashed by Snyder himself, and thus we are left back exactly where we began. The director's chair is not the only position involved in Episode 7 that has seen a number of rumors fly over the past several days. Prolific poster artist Drew Struzan has reportedly been offered by Disney to come out of retirement to design the poster for Star Wars Episode 7. While Struzan has designed the posters for a multitude of films, he is most famous to Star Wars fans for designing the special editions posters for the 1997 re-release of the original trilogy, as well as the primary theatrical posters for Episodes 1, 2, and 3. Although Struzan has confirmed the offer, there has been no official comment, as yet, from Lucasfilm or Disney. Other non-sequel related news this week: Star Wars Celebration Europe 2, about which there had been no new news since its announcement at Star Wars Celebration 6 in August, resurfaced last week as tickets went on sale for the show. A full 3-day pass for an adult is €95. However, attendees of Celebration 6 will receive €10 off that price if they purchase their ticket by the end of this month. Further, the first celebrity guest was announced, and it is Clone Wars director Dave Filoni. Additional new announcements have been promised by Reed Entertainment, and we will bring them to you just as soon as we have them here at This Week in Star Wars. Star Wars Celebration Europe 2 will take place July 26th through 28th in Essen, Germany. An event that is currently taking place in Europe is the UK Toy Fair, which, as always, takes place several weeks prior to the New York Toy Fair. As in prior years, Hasbro has made it plain that there is a number of Star Wars products that will be kept under wraps until the American show next month. There are, nonetheless, a number of major new announcements. Most notably, an upcoming Anakin to Darth Vader transforming 12-inch figure garnered the Best at Toy Fair Action Figure Award. Also revealed at the Toy Fair is the replacement to the Yoda-themed packaging, which has only begun showing up on merchandise in the recent weeks. Beginning this fall, nearly all Star Wars merchandise, from action figures on down, will feature a stylized, animated, and quasi-3D image of Darth Vader reaching out at the consumer. With a coloring scheme reminiscent of 2005's Revenge of the Sith packaging, the imagery is clearly meant to create a synergy with the upcoming release of Episode 3 in 3D, as well as the assumed release of Episodes 4, 5, and 6, which until recently were expected to be released in 2014. However, that conjectured schedule is now in doubt due to information made available on JediNews.co.uk at which there is a slide presentation from the UK show indicating that there will be 3D movies coming out in 2014 and 15, which is also the year in which we are told we will receive Episode 7. One can only assume that all this information remains in flux, and details and plans will no doubt change over the course of the next 2 years. With the release of this new Vader package imagery, the aforementioned Yoda line appears that it will last for only a scant few months. RebelScum.com has imagery of the upcoming first wave of 2013 movie Heroes figures, which, until we hear otherwise from Hasbro at Toy Fair next month, could be some of a very few number of figures that will appear on those card backs. Gentle Giant put up for order the next in its line of jumbo vintage action figure reproductions. Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing outfit, however, was not a pre-order, but actually in stock and available immediately for shipping. At the same time, the next of the jumbo reproductions, Bossk, was made available for pre-order, as well as a new mini-bust, Darth Malgus, from the Old Republic video game. Topps has announced that there will be a new trading card set coming out in May of this year. It is called Star Wars Jedi Legacy and is a 90-card set focusing on Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Complementing the base set are the to-be-expected parallel cards, autograph cards, and, for the first time in a Star Wars set, both film cells and relic cards. The film cells will be taken from episodes 4, 5, and 6 and will focus on Luke and Vader, while the relic cards will consist of actual film-used materials such as Ewok fur and Wookiee hair. According to Topps' information, the set will be a hobby store exclusive and is scheduled for release on May 22nd. In publishing news, the first issue of Dark Horse's new Star Wars title, Star Wars, was released last week and immediately sold out across the country. Copies of the first issue are reportedly already receiving bids of up to $50 on eBay. If you did miss the debut issue last week, rest easy, as there is a second printing coming to stores, as well as a special sketch cover version, which will be released at the same time as issue number 4. Entertainment Weekly has a 4-page preview of issue number 2, which will no doubt also be quite popular, as apparently it will be featuring everyone's favorite original trilogy Mandalorian Bounty Hunter. In stores this week is the trade paperback of Boba Fett is Dead, while next week we'll see Star Wars Agent of the Empire Hard Targets number 4. The second LEGO Star Wars short film, Star Wars LEGO The Empire Strikes Out, which aired once last fall on the Cartoon Network, is now officially, at last, slated for release in home video. Unlike the first film in the series, however, The Padawan Menace, it will only be available on DVD, not in high-definition Blu-ray. The set will include a Darth Vader Lego minifigure and will be released on March 26th. In this age of digital audio, there are two types of people who still listen to vinyl records. People who couldn't possibly care less about audio fidelity, and the obsessively snobby quote-unquote audiophiles at the other end of the spectrum who proselytize about the warmth and fullness that only analog can deliver. Well, let both the Luddites and the snobs rejoice, as the soundtrack to the first prequel film is at long last getting the vinyl treatment. Several different limited edition pressings are available, and prices range from $21.99 up to $100. The discs are being pressed by I Am Shark, and a link to their website is available at the This Week in Star Wars Facebook page. As we mentioned several weeks ago, an online petition encouraging the White House to design and build an actual real-life Death Star reached the minimum threshold of 25,000 signatures, after which a response would be generated from the Obama administration. The White House's response was delivered last week, and not surprisingly, they informed the public that they would not, in fact, be designing a Death Star. 3 justifications were offered for the decision not to build the battle station, those being 1, the extreme cost, 2, the United States does not support the blowing up of planets, and 3, the fact that there is a design flaw that would allow the battle station to be destroyed by a single one-man fighter. However, the story does not end there. An official response to the White House's decision was released by the Galactic Empire through their agents at Lucasfilm, and a link to this response is available on the This Week in Star Wars Facebook page. However, even with all the good-natured replies and counter-replies going on, there was an actual practical effect of the original petition. Apparently dismayed at the ease with which the 25 signatures encouraging the production of the Death Star were achieved, the administration has raised the minimum threshold for a response from 25,000 signatures to 100,000. I can only hope that the Star Trek community's petition asking the government to build an actual USS Enterprise was received before the signature threshold was lifted and will receive a more favorable response from President Obama. So, if you read the media reports, there are a number of people who seem to be very concerned that Star Wars seems to have problems getting a director for Episode 7. Now, I'm not the least bit concerned about this because, of course, there are any number of directors out there who would jump at the opportunity to be given a Star Wars film. And somehow, even if there weren't any actual directors who wanted to do it and push came to shove, I'd do it. Frankly, I'm quite happy that none of the big-name celebrity directors are getting involved. I don't want this to be a Steven Spielberg film, or a J.J. Abrams film, or, God forbid, a Joss Whedon film. I want it to be a Star Wars film. Look, each of the original trilogy films was made by a director who, at the time at least, didn't have a lot of experience as a director. They simply took the stories, guided them, and let them be what they were. I want these new films to be compared to the preceding two trilogies, not lumped in with E.T. and the Jurassic Park films, Schindler's List, and Saving Private Ryan. They need a director who can handle blockbuster special effects, humor, and characters, and they need to realize that's Jon Favreau. And that was This Week in Star Wars. Join us again next week for more news, notes, and developments from the galaxy far, far away. Visit our website, www.thisweekinstarwars.com, where you can find links to the rest of our media empire, including our breaking news Twitter feed and our Facebook page. If you have comments, questions, or news suggestions, we encourage you to write us at host@thisweekinstarwars.com. Help us grow the community. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a positive review at iTunes. You've been listening to This Week in Star Wars. We troll the web so you don't have to.
This Week in Star Wars is not affiliated with Lucasfilm, any of its subsidiaries, or any other entity mentioned in this podcast. Star Wars, its characters and creations are the property of Lucasfilm. All of the trademarks are property of the respective trademark owners. This Week in Star Wars is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. All original content, copyright 2012, This Week in Star Wars. More information, links to Star Wars Presented, past episodes, and contact information are available at www.thisweekinstarwars.com.
This show is terrible, and I'm really happy.